Good evening, I'm Juliana Lee, and this is DV Real News. Tonight, we spotlight Nigeria, a nation of over 230 million people, grappling with deep infrastructure deficits in areas like power, transport, education, and health. We examine how strategic investment across these sectors can unlock the country's vast potential and elevate it to continental prominence. Nigeria's population exceeds 230 million, but its infrastructure lags: crumbling roads, unreliable electricity, underfunded schools, and dilapidated hospitals hamper economic growth. Energy: frequent grid collapses, ninth last year alone, cause economic losses upwards of $29 billion annually. Transport: Lagos BRT and rail lines exist, but nationwide road networks remain inadequate, choking mobility and enterprise. Education: schools underfunded, technologies lacking, millions still out of school due to regional insecurity. Health: hospitals face power outages, brain drain, and underinvestment, medical tourism on the rise. Nigeria's core challenge is fragmented planning: buildings without reliable electricity, schools without teachers, hospitals without water or power. Studies show that despite spending, individual infrastructure sectors aren't lifting GDP significantly because investments weren't integrated. Nigeria generates approximate 13,000 megawatts but delivers only about 4,000 megawatts, leaving most homes in the dark. Experts call for decentralized solutions, minigrids, solar, and container transport electrification to improve rural access. Lagos Rail's blue and red lines are functioning, but major cities outside Lagos still suffer commuting delays due to bad roads. World Bank and ECOWAS bank funding are mobilizing billions for roads, energy, and SMEs, but execution must be accelerated. The World Bank-backed $1.57 billion package targets governance reforms in schools and healthcare. But Nigeria's budget is still below the AU's Abuja target of 15% for health, and university infrastructure remains weak. Public hospitals are chronically underfunded, only a fraction have basic equipment, sanitation, and power. Current efforts include dam safety and primary healthcare scaling, but structural reforms must follow. What if Nigeria synchronized these investments, building schools beside clinics, powered by minigrids, all connected by functional roads and transport? The Lancet estimates just $30 per person annually in health investment, or $6 billion total, could dramatically improve coverage and outcomes. President Tinubu launched a 2025 PPP summit to close a staggering $2.3 trillion infrastructure gap. ECOWAS Bank's €230 million package aims to fund health, education, renewables, and transport infrastructure. Mini-solar grids and rural electrification are on the agenda, leveraging falling costs and technical innovations. Lagos Rail and BRT have reduced commute times in major cities, models that could be expanded nationwide. Fixing hospitals could stem brain drain, cut medical tourism, and improve public trust. Nigeria has the foundations, but needs scaling. Key takeaway: Nigeria isn't short on ambition, it faces a challenge of coordination. Integrated infrastructure, electricity, school, hospital, road clusters, could transform communities and economies. Power every school and clinic to support continuous operations and attract professionals. Develop rural roads and rail to link health and education services. Empower minigrids and solar systems to reduce grid strain. Mobilize PPPs to fund and maintain these projects. Anchor health budgets at 15%, modernize facilities, and reverse medical brain drain. Nigeria stands at a crossroads. With coordinated investment in core sectors, it can evolve from infrastructure deficit to development dynamo. 230 million people deserve nothing less. And you're watching DV Real News TV. Tonight, we take you inside a remarkable shift happening in a country not often in global headlines, but whose quiet transformation is sending shockwaves through the way the world thinks about crime, punishment, and second chances. In Burkina Faso, a small, landlocked country in West Africa, a powerful story of reform is unfolding, one that shows a custodial sentence or a criminal record doesn't have to mean a lifetime of exclusion. From behind prison walls to the heart of vibrant communities, individuals who were once locked away are now stepping back into society not as threats, but as contributors, creators, and community leaders. It's a national rethink on justice, and the dividends are nothing short of extraordinary. In tonight's in-depth segment, we explore a new model of rehabilitation that has achieved 4 transformational outcomes: reduced recidivism, stronger communities, greater economic participation, and restored dignity and purpose. Once known for high incarceration rates and overcrowded prisons, Burkina Faso is now pioneering an approach that sees incarceration not as an end, but as a new beginning. In facilities like the Maison d'Arrêt at de Correction de Ouagadougou, Marco, and others across the country, inmates are no longer just serving time, they're receiving education, vocational training, psychological support, and perhaps most importantly, hope. This philosophy is rooted in the belief that rehabilitation, not punishment alone, produces safer communities. And the numbers are supporting it. According to recent data provided in the documentary and confirmed by Burkina Faso's Ministry of Justice, the country has seen a marked decline in recidivism, meaning fewer people are returning to prison after release. In fact, over a 3-year period, reoffending rates have fallen by nearly 42%, a figure attributed directly to enhanced reintegration programs. Interview with Justice Ministry spokesperson, Him said, and I quote, "When people are given the tools to rebuild their lives, they often choose to do just that. We used to believe that people couldn't change. Now, we know they can when we give them the opportunity. And those opportunities are not limited to prison workshops." Communities across Burkina Faso are participating in reintegration efforts, creating bridges between ex-offenders and neighborhoods that once feared them. From Bobo Dioulasso to Koudougou, community-led initiatives are matching returning citizens with apprenticeships, mentorships, and jobs. Local elders are playing key roles, offering cultural ceremonies of forgiveness and reintegration. It's a grassroots, culturally rooted method of healing, restoring trust, rebuilding social cohesion, and transforming former prisoners into protectors of peace. In one case, a former gang member returned to his home village and is now organizing youth sports leagues to steer kids away from crime. But perhaps the most overlooked dividend is economic participation. Once released, former inmates are now contributing to Burkina Faso's growing informal economy and, in some cases, even leading it. The documentary follows Ismail, a 33-year-old man who served 7 years for robbery. Today, he owns a thriving carpentry workshop in Ouagadougou that employs 6 others, 2 of whom are also former inmates. "This job saved my life," Ismail says in the film. "But more than that, it gave me the chance to save others." He is now part of a larger ecosystem of businesses supported by microfinance initiatives targeting reintegration. The strategy: turn past adversity into present value. At the heart of all this reform lies something deeper than jobs or training. It's dignity. And the documentary captures that transformation powerfully. "I used to see myself only as a criminal," says Aissata, a 29-year-old woman who was incarcerated for drug offenses. "Now, I'm a mother again, a teacher, and a member of my church." With support from NGOs and prison reform advocates, thousands like her are reclaiming their identities, not just reintegrating, but flourishing. And the wider community is learning to see them not through the lens of their mistakes, but through the possibility of their redemption. What we're witnessing in Burkina Faso is not just a policy shift, it's a paradigm shift. By focusing on restoration instead of retribution, this West African nation is writing a bold new chapter in criminal justice reform. It's one where those once written off as society's outcasts are now seen as seeds of change, capable of rebuilding the very communities they once harmed. And while challenges remain, limited resources, political tensions, and social stigma, the early results are promising enough that neighboring countries are beginning to take notice. Burkina Faso's model invites us to ask deeper questions. What does true justice look like? Can redemption be systematized? And are we willing, as societies, to embrace those who've fallen if they're willing to rise? Around the world, governments spend billions on incarceration, but far less on what happens next. As Burkina Faso is showing, the next can be everything. As the global conversation on justice evolves, the lessons from this small West African country may resonate far beyond its borders. Reduced recidivism. Stronger communities. Greater economic participation. Restored dignity and purpose. These aren't just slogans, they are the measurable, living outcomes of a system that believes in second chances. For DV Real News TV, I'm Juliana Lee. Stay with us for more coverage after the break.